You are listening to the Sword Chomp official podcast number 5. My name is Morgan, and I'm joined by the crew of Sword Chomp today. We're joined by Shay Layton. How are you doing today, Shay?
Hello, I am doing well. I've been spending a fair bit of my time today playing some gamage, so I'm ready to talk about it.
I've been wanting to play that one.
Oh, it's so good, man. You literally just literally go into a game and you game. Like there's no purpose, no point to it. You just walk in and you game.
And that beautiful biting sarcasm is from the ever lovely Joshua Fowler. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm great. I'm feeling nice and snarky.
I just realized they used the word lovely to describe you in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of strange.
Well,
sexual. Little bromance going on there behind the scenes.
if there's one word to describe me, it's lovely. Maybe fluffy, warm, squishy, just delightful, but lovely works.
A little repressed sexual tension there coming out on the podcast.
It's too much. And Mr. Bromance coming over there from the shadows, Anthony Fisher, a.k.a. Fish. How are you doing this week, Fish?
I'm doing great.
That is a nickname.
And I wanted to give our listeners a little voice recognition here with the crew before we we're just going to jump right into it today because we got a lot to talk about. And the main game that we've been all excited to get together and podcast about and share our opinions about is Overwatch, which is an incredibly popular Blizzard game. And So this whole thing started about a week ago. We've been trying to find a way to talk about Overwatch, and it was finally free to play on the consoles during this free weekend that Blizzard had. So if you had an Xbox One or a PS4, you could play Overwatch finally. So that was a good way for me and Fish to really get into it and play, and Shay as well. He has an Xbox One, to finally get together with Josh and play, because Josh has been trying to get us to play Overwatch for a long time now. Without success. I don't know how we've been able to raise it, because you've been playing Overwatch on PC exclusively, Josh.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to throw it to you first, though, because I remember when this game was first announced, Blizzard was going to be making a competitive first-person shooter. I was like, wow. And you were pretty excited about it, because you are like the Blizzard guy of all Blizzard guys that I know. And you were actually pretty excited about the game, which is odd because if people don't know you, you're not really a big first-person shooter guy. So I thought it'd be a good starting point. Like when you first heard about Overwatch, and you seemed more interested about it than I expected.
I mean, to an extent, I wasn't that excited until I finally got to see some of the beta last year because they released it to streamers pretty early, and just. Yeah, it looked really well made, just as far as actual competition goes, because that's always a hard thing to pull off in shooters, is make it. There are so many formulas to go off of right now that kind of making anything new is, not really the way most people go anymore. So I was excited to see that they kind of did their own thing with it.
Yeah, well, but on that note, isn't Overwatch sort of an ode to Team Fortress, the classic game, the PC game? Like, what to you about it seemed like new and fresh, just kind of going off what you were saying?
It's definitely similar to Team Fortress. The characters were really different. I mean, they're kind of just having such a massive cast compared to Team Fortress was very different. Because in Team Fortress, you kind of end up with a couple comps that work really well, and that's about all. But with so many characters, I was expecting, that you'd have a lot more variety as far as that was concerned. So.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Fish. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I saw Fish trying to jump in there.
No, I was just gonna reiterate what Josh was talking about, is the different characters in the game. Reminded me very much of, I guess, Team Fortress Classic's characters, and some of the characters actually come off as like similar. Like I would say, Junkrat is very similar to the demolition guy in Team Fortress Classic. except for the part that I guess Junkrat has, ultimates, and well, actually, that's a difference that I really like in Overwatch was that all the characters get these cool abilities called ultimates, and it's unique to each character, and they're all different. Um, but yeah, it's just all the classes all feel very different and unique. Go from one to the other. You can definitely tell you got to change up your playstyle and how you attack in the game and how you defend. And it has that very deep strategic type of feel to Overwatch that I really like. That was also similar in Team Fortress Classic, where you work as a team towards certain objectives, and I always like that type of competitive um, fight style.
Did you get really into Team Fortress back in the day?
Yeah, I played. Well, I bought Half-Life back in the day, and it came with it. So I dicked around with it a little bit and found out some of my friends at my high school actually played it. So I played a little bit with them, and they were showing me all the different classes that you could be and how you play them on certain maps and all that. And we would have like land battles and everything, and it was fun. And then I ended up getting the orange box back in the day on 360, and Team Fortress Classic 2 was on there, redone to where it had like that more cartoony type of look to all their characters, which I appreciated a lot. And it was fun, but it was pretty much the same as Team Fortress, the original.
Yeah, very nice. And well, and I was curious because when I was approaching this Shay and I was thinking about your perspective on this game, I was curious because you don't really get into the competitive first-person shooter world anymore from the dark days of Call of Duty. So, like, what was your what was your approach coming into this game as far as what you thought of it or excitement or anything?
I had a little of excitement. I enjoy some of Blizzard's IPs and their gaming expertise over the years, not extensively, but I've enjoyed some of it. So coming into this game, I was a little bit skeptical just because I couldn't really imagine Blizzard making a first-person shooter, but I do know that Josh was talking pretty highly of it. So I was fairly excited to try it, and my first impressions of it, walking into that game were fairly solid, being that it was a first-person shooter. I was like, well, this is pretty good so far. It seemed very well balanced. All the characters seemed like they could be played instead of a Call of Duty or Battlefield type scenario where certain guns and certain perks and what have you are used, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In a lot of those games, the classes boil down to: are you playing a sniper? You just got killed by a sniper.
Yeah. Yep.
So, are you playing a sniper yet? No. No. You just got killed by a sniper.
Oh, that's why I'm terrible at
kinda-
those games. I
yeah.
don't play snipers. Damn it. All right.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So, no, that's good. I really like for me, kind of, I wouldn't quite say ingenuity, but at the same time, I can't really think of a better word. Just the diverse and unique array of characters that could be used and their skills. I really like the fact that these characters had an alt. It really added an extra layer to the first-person shooter genre. Honestly, I think that was a really nice addition.
Yeah, and just a lot of really smart things. So I agree with you guys. The big hook for me when I first saw it looked to be just that there were so many characters, and because they all had unique classes, and the way they were built and designed is that you're going to hopefully be able to find a character that spoke with you. And they even do this really brilliant thing they do where right during the match, whenever you die, you can basically switch out to a different character on the fly. You're like, I don't want to use this character anymore, right in the middle of the match. You don't have to wait until the match is over to switch out, which it's a breath of fresh air. If there's so many characters in a game that it's kind of overwhelming, it's nice to be able to jump around and try them all. At least for me, I thought that was really refreshing.
Definitely, and I had actually experienced that in Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare because I really got into that game, which is obviously a third-person shooter that came out a few years ago. But I really got into that game just because I like the Plants vs Zombies franchise. Just all the all two of the games that they've come out with. But I really enjoyed that game. But that was a feature in the game actually that you could change your character on the fly. And
Okay, I
granted,
didn't know that.
the characters there wasn't as many different types of characters per se as Overwatch. And I'm sure even Plants vs. Zombies may not have been the first one to have done it, but that's the first one that I've experienced that that has done it. And
Had that ability. Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
know that.
absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think it's key. I think that is kind of where, I mean, like, if you think about it from a logical sense, it doesn't make any sense, but if you're playing a video game, so there doesn't need to be logic there. And I think that it's a great improvement to the first person shooter genre because it gives more dynamic battles and strategies in game instead of it being you plan this all out before you go into the match, so to
Yeah, where
speak.
you're just fucked from the beginning. Well, that's how I was wondering. Like, and I'll kind of go around and ask you guys. Like, I was curious what characters you guys were all pulled toward. Like Josh, like, what were your like characters you felt the most pulled toward, and like why? Like, why were they fun to you? Because that's one cool thing about Overwatch when I talk to people is that everyone has like their favorite game.
When I
Or,
started
I'm sorry,
out,
their favorite character. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
When I started out, I played a lot of Farah because she's just kind of the stereotypical, you know, rocket launcher style character. Just because I played a lot of Quake forever ago, and so that just kind of the character worked for me. Um,
Yeah.
but I've not really stuck with her since then because there were so many different ones to try out, and some of them ended up being more familiar, or not more familiar, but more fun to play after a while. But yeah, I mean that's kind of they have a few just really prototypical archetypes to choose from, like depending on what other games you've played before. Like they've got Soldier, which is basically the exact same move set of any Call of Duty or anything like that style hero. It's, has an assault rifle and a grenade launcher type thing.
Generic military
Yeah,
shooter kind of thing.
military
Yeah.
shooter type thing, which I thought was really nice that they added in a few characters that could bring you into the game without having this just very very different toolkit that you weren't used to even playing with.
Yeah, because you got to imagine that a lot of people are going to come from other kinds of shooters and pick up Overwatch, and it's going to be pretty different for them if they're just used to playing like the Call of Duties and the Battlefields to a degree. So
Yeah, but since then I've played a lot of Zarya, just because she's a kind of an off tank type character, who can shield herself and shield allies with a really really short shield. Like it only lasts for about a second and a half. So you have to use it really thoughtfully for it to do any work.
yeah, exactly.
But I've just really enjoyed the character.
Yeah, those are awesome. What about you, Fish?
I'm a Junkrat. I'm a Junkrat type of guy.
The Junkrat guy. I
Yeah.
see that. I should have guessed that.
No, he's really fun to play. Like usually whenever I play him, I end up doing a good amount of damage overall for the team. Like during the summary screen, I'll usually be on there with Junkrat as like anywhere from 36% to 50% of the team's damage done by me. So I could cause a lot of havoc with that character. I just like doing that. I mean, I don't know. His weapon is pretty much you're just shooting. You shoot off little, I guess, bouncing little grenades, and it doesn't take much skill to actually shoot them off. But if you're really good at like aiming down into like a small corridor or finding characters who are trying to run upstairs or something like that, and you know how the trajectory is on his weapon, you